and that person graduated. I want to thank the Board of Education. We had a plan a couple years ago to increase our guidance counselor, to increase our social worker, to introduce credit recovery or after-school programs. We realize many students need different paths to graduation. So I just want to thank everybody for their support. So now our next goal is 95. A few things we initiated this year. We took part of our federal funding. We brought in the literacy and the math coaches. So our focus and one of our goals as a district is all of our students within a few years being on or above grade level when they leave grade 3. So as you can see, we're working on our differentiation. We're looking at small group learning as well as whole group learning, and we're looking at research-based interventions in writing as a process, not as an assignment. And as you know, with our math, this is the third year with our iReady, and we're looking at that differentiated instructional approach. And as you know, as we presented to the board a couple months ago, our philosophy on literacy, we believe reading and writing is a human right. And we know that if we can get our students early on to be reading at a grade level, their success is going to be much better as they move forward. As you know, I was tasked a year ago to look at be fiscally more responsible, as well as adding and maintaining program. So going forward, we have 15 new courses at the high school. We're really excited about that. We will now have full-time librarians in each of our elementary schools. Once again, our focus at the elementary is that literacy component. We are adding reading specialists for our elementary school students. Previously, we did not have reading specialists. We will be maintaining all of our K-6 RTI teachers. We had 4, one in math and one in ELA. We are going to maintain them, even though we'll have 3 buildings. We will also have a full-time social worker in each of our elementary schools, and once again, our instructional coaches for literacy and mathematics. So we're really excited the fact that we are allocating our resources to meet the needs of our students, and we're really putting a lot of supports in our K-6 because we want to make sure that our students are prepared when they come to the intermediate level. Updates on Mount Marion. The staff, the custodians, the teachers were amazing. We had teachers, helping load the trucks. So all the equipment has been moved to the new schools. The west side of the building is now prepared for BOCES to start moving in. I think that's the 15th, right, Jane, of July. We're preparing now for the UPK, for the OCFS to come and do their inspections. The 5 UPK will be on the east side of the building. Right now we have 75 students enrolled. That's our largest number to date, so we're really excited because those students will then be coming into our program. So the fact that we can have those conversations with our UPK staff, once again, getting that vertical alignment so our students are prepared when they enter the district. We're all set with St. Mary's and St. Joseph's for the extended school day. That will go from 2:30 to 6 o'clock. One of the concerns with universal pre-K is it ends earlier than a lot of our families finish work. So the fact that that will be open till 6 is wonderful. And we're finishing up negotiations with Anderson School for 2 classrooms. So Mount Marion will be completely full and utilized come September 1st. So we're really excited about that. Some of our programs are 7 through 12 traditional summer school. We have approximately 100 students in that. We are continuing our K-6 Summer Academy. We started that last year due to the concerns over learning loss. We have 82 students enrolled in that. And as you know, part of the federal funding was enrichment programs. So we have pilot programs, and we have 189 students in our summer enrichment program. So these are really amazing numbers considering this is the first year. We knew that a lot of our staff were burned out. It's been a very busy 2 years for our teachers, and the same with our families. So the fact that we have 189 students in pilot programs is amazing. So I really want to special thanks to Gwendolyn, Ms. Pepitone, and all of our staff who put together those programs and then getting our students enrolled. Some updates on our EPC. So the pipe installation, that's 100% done except for Riccardi. The desk computer management, I don't want to read everything, is 100%. As you can see, just about everything for the EPC is being completed, will be completed this summer. So we're really excited about that work. That was devoted in conjunction with the capital project in 2020. So that's moving along really well. There are some stuff that will be integrated with the capital project, and there's some items from the capital project that, as you know, are under the EPC, and there's projects under the EPC that are also intertwined in the capital project. Capital project updates. As you know, we declined most of the bids due to the pricing. So one of the bids that did come in was the roofing. So we do have the bond anticipation note for $2.5 million for the shingle work to be done at Cahill. We're hoping that'll be August of this fall. We're hoping to get the track resurfaced this fall as well. As you know, the Morse addition, there was a few variances we had to do due to egresses, due to the type of space it is. So we're hoping to get that approved from the state quickly. We met as a team, and then we had a facilities meeting to reprioritize the items on the original list to see what we can pull out, add as auxiliary, how can we pay through other funding. The goal, once again, is to get all the work on the original capital project completed. I believe we will get most of that done, and I think we'll get much better pricing when we go back out to bid in December and January timeframe. So that's where we are with the capital project. Another item, one of the goals of the district leadership team was transparency on data and information for parents. So we will be kicking off our new website. We're hoping this will be more user-friendly to our families. We're also working to integrate a data dashboard, so more of our data in the district is more easily accessible to parents and staff in the community. And when is that going to kick off, Dan? Should be ready for opening day. Any questions? Yes.
Is that working?
I think so.
Okay. No, I just wanted to thank you for the update, and graduation rate of 90, almost 91% is a really great achievement, and I think it's an achievement, you know, because of all of the work that the district, the teachers, staff, everyone has done. And there was a lot of discussion as we were talking about reimagining the education, and just I think it's important to note that this graduation rate was achieved under the old model before any of this was considered. And I think it's important that as we go forward, I know you have now said you want a 95% graduation rate, which is very, aggressive. But I also, I think one of the things that we should make sure that we look at is, say, the cohort starting in 2029, which is going to be the first sort of cohort under the new reimagining education, 6th grade to elementary, and how that graduation rate compares to the graduation rate as we go forward.
And also, the state has set out an invite. They're looking to put together another commission to actually look at graduation format and graduation requirements. So I think we're looking to see if we can get representation from the county. We had our first meeting just before COVID hit. We had a meeting with our representative from the state at OCs. So I'm hoping once again that we can get some local representation on that committee with the state of what we want to be, as far as graduation going forward. Anything else, anybody?
You went through the summer program. What mental health supports are you providing to students this summer?
I'm not sure if we have any additional, do we, for the summer?
We have social workers available in both programs, elementary and senior high, or secondary program.
But no specific outreach programs or education programs?
Not that I'm aware of, but I will check. I know during the school year we actually ran group counseling after school as part of our extended school day funding.
I mean, a significant part of the money was supposed to be devoted to that, right? So.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific or not. I know we have the supports for those that are required, but I'll check on that.
I do know that some of the programs that our kids do go to that are part of their IEP or CSE meeting outcomes, they do have that support on site. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I'll check and see if we were running additional, I'll get a list of what the actual enrichment programs are and share them with the board. I know not every one of them was truly academic. I think the goal was for student participation and engagement, but I'll get that list to the board.
And I was speaking, I appreciate that, Tim. I was speaking a little more broadly, knowing the volume of money that, this has been provided, specifically to try to address, this is not just learning gaps, but social emotional gaps that we're looking at. And having it for IEP, which is a required service, I appreciate that as well. I'm talking about some broader type of initiative that reaches out to the community and says, look, we recognize how challenging it's been for the past 3 some odd years. And here's some really specific activities that invite people in, invite students in, make them aware that we can help during the summer, as opposed to just going through, hey, we need this for summer school.
If I can just jump in, and I know this is becoming more of a board discussion item, less of a topic for the superintendent, but just to highlight exactly what you're saying, Mr. Ball, is we are 100% with you regarding mental health. I think one of the things that should be highlighted is just the difficulty of finding those resources in Ulster County. It doesn't matter the money, it doesn't matter how much, if it's not there, you can't pay for something. So I think that has been something, and I know for the Ulster County School Boards Association, we met with Pat Ryan and specifically to talk about the county resources that really are lacking in mental health services this past, I think it was in March. I think we met with, it was in the spring-ish.
I think it was March. And the
Yeah.
superintendents also, as far as county
Yeah.
agencies, to better partner with the school districts.
So, yeah, just so, as much as this is a Saugerties district issue, just to highlight that this is a county-wide, statewide, this is a national issue in terms of the resources and having occupational therapists and physical therapists and all of the other resources that we all are desperately seeking. If they're not there, the money isn't going to do it. So how do we then, as a district, handle that? So something just wanted to bring that to the mind.
I agree, and I think, to Mr. Ball's point, of finding a way to offer these outside of the traditional school day. We know there's issues over long holiday breaks, over summer break, based on the dynamics of the home. So we do know those things are important as well.
And just to tag on that too, when RCPC opened up the clinic part of it, the whole idea was we were doing telemedicine with people in New York City, and hoping they would then move up into the Catskills and open up practices. And it's not been as successful as they had hoped. That was part of the telemedicine was, oh, we like that area. Maybe when we're finished, we'll move up and people aren't. Yeah, I know. I had one home, get out of the city and come up here. But they didn't, so, it is difficult.
Go ahead, William.
So I appreciate all that, and thank you, Chris, I truly do. I know that there's people going into these service areas. The question for me is, and it may seem academic then, but what's the plan, right? When you have a deficit, you still need to have a plan. When you have an absence of applicants, you still need to have a plan, right? So thinking about that, how we're going to do that going forward is something I'd like to be very conscious of. I certainly am going to do.
Yeah, Monday.
So I just wanted to point out that's definitely something we can do better on and move forward with an articulated plan. Part of our philosophy, though, for the academic summer school, particularly at the elementary, is it's not separate. All of the social, emotional, and mental health is embedded in. Mrs. Molyneux, who's here tonight, has stated the expectation is we begin with morning meeting. And not only that, but as a district, we're feeding our students, which I'm so proud of Saugerties that we're doing that, because we know if their bellies aren't full, and they're coming to school tired, and they're 6, 7, and 8, they're definitely not going to learn. So those are some great practices that we're continuing to do with the restorative and cell embedded in, and we'll continue to do that. Also throughout the academic year, at the secondary level, there was a huge push and huge success that Ms. Vale, our junior high principal, did with mental health, and she presented that.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Board member remarks? Ms. Barringer.
So I definitely wanted to, for graduation, 100% agree with Superintendent Reinhardt's positions. Thank you to everyone involved. It keeps getting better and better at this new location, and just so thrilled to see all that we're doing there. I also want to reiterate the parent, former board members, and my own hope that future graduations and future graduates will be recognized not by grade point average, but as a unified group of graduates, that no matter what it took to get across the stage, they all made it, they're all one,
And we heard that over and over from all the speeches. Every one of them said, you know, we're here as one, we are all graduates, but yet we still separate by gold, silver, and non-corded individuals. I just think we just need, as a district, to recognize, I apologize, that this is, it's graduates of graduates. And we've been hearing it for a few years now. So I know this is something that when we've discussed in the past, the high school has said, well, the students choose this. The sense I'm getting is, and from what I've heard from students themselves, is nobody's asked them and no, they don't. So we really need to, as a district, recognize our graduates. And then finally, I want to welcome our new board members and just say that we are so thrilled to have new eyes, new questions, new voices at the table, that we hope that we're all going to continue to work as individuals with a shared vision of board functioning and district successes and improvements. And so glad you're here. And in the last few days, the questions have been right on the mark and right there. And I really appreciate hearing. As someone who asks some of the same questions that are being asked right now, I'm right there with you. I'm thrilled that you're all part of us, and hope that you find time in the school year not only for your mandatory trainings, but to also join us for the Ulster County School Boards Association, to not only hear from the 8 other members of this school board as well as our administrators, but to hear from school board members from throughout Ulster County. It's a wonderful opportunity, and just want to extend that welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Melrose, do you have anything?
I just wanted to, congratulate the graduates of the class of 2022 and all the students who were recognized at moving up ceremonies throughout the district. I want to wish a happy and safe, healthy summer to all of the faculty and staff. I'm sure they deserved it. And I want to thank the community for their support in electing me as a trustee. I look forward to serving the community to the best of my ability. I know I have a lot to learn, and I can ask a lot of questions, and I appreciate everyone's patience. And I look forward to working with the trustees and the administration next year.
Anyone else? Mr. Wall?
Thank you. I would also like to thank the public for their support and trust as I stood for election for the Board of Education. Certainly overwhelming to see that that level of support. I want to also speak to the graduation, because I have not had the occasion to attend a graduation in a few years, and I was able to see some of this year's graduation online. And it was one of the more well-organized graduations that I've ever seen. I'm thrilled to see it back in the back of the building. I was thrilled to see the specific logistics and how everything unfolded. And it's one of those events that when you see it, it kind of begs the question: how did it take us this long to, choose to rearrange this? So that's something that was very impressive to me as someone that, for the first time in a long time, does not have a relative graduating from Saugerties High School. And I'll actually share that from 1976 until 2017, there was a ball in Saugerties school system between siblings and my own children. One additional thing I'd like to comment on, and I feel personally important to comment on, is the vote for board president. I thought about it a long time, and I feel it's important to make sure that I state for the record, for the public, that it was not an easy decision to vote for the board president, as we just did here today, and for me to cast my vote for Mr. Tillman. It has to do with what I perceive to be tone, and it has to do with what I perceive to be, and many other people that have spoken to me, to perceive indifference. And I think we can do better. Having said that, my vote today was because we are entering such a monumental phase of our district operation, seeing such a massive transition as this, or a vote and a decision as this, seeing it through to fruition, seeing it through with integrity, and making sure that every T is crossed, every I is dotted, and the promises that were made for the improvements that we're going to see as a result of this are in fact measured and made. And to that end, I could vote for no one other than Mr. Tillman, because he needs to see this through. So my vote is a vote of accountability, and I feel it's very important for me to make that part of our public record here today. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Mooney?
Here we go. First off, congratulations to our new board members. Wish you luck. And after the emails that I saw over the past couple of days, I think we're off to a good start. I think people are asking questions, and that's a really good thing. I just have a couple of things. Second off, thank you for your confidence again in the role of Vice President. I will obviously do my best to sort out whatever needs to be sorted, and if anybody has any issues, obviously you can come to me and I will filter it for you. I would also, at this point, I'd like to thank Jerry Gardner. Jerry doesn't get any recognition, but these packets that you see before you today, these are put together by Jerry. We meet with Jerry, Bob, myself, and Superintendent Reinhardt, sometimes Dr. Seymour. I give you doctorate. I hope you're pleased. And we go through the agendas to make sure that everything is there. One of the things you'll notice is that Bob and I usually don't ask too many questions, and that's because we've kind of already vetted them in pre-board. But I just wanted to make sure, Ms. Gardner, you understood how much we do appreciate the effort, and thank you. And lastly, well, not lastly, to the graduates, everybody involved in graduations, throughout the county, congratulations on your new journey, and I wish you a lot of success. And the last thing I wanted to say was the Siracusano families. After this weekend, the amount of money that was raised for local charities and for people in our community, it goes without saying, these families are just awesome people. And something I can remember when I was in high school, I graduated in 1990 from Kingston, and the post-prom party, somebody was gifted a car. It was a Dodge Omni. It had a lot of problems. It needed thousands of dollars worth of work. The dealership that sold the car to the class wouldn't honor it. Mr. Siracusano took the car in and fixed it for free. I remember that because I thought, how awesome is that you have this guy who did not make any money off this car, but saw that it was a kid that needed help, and he took care of it. So I just want to say thank you, and on behalf of the community, thank you as well.
Ms. Gage?
Although I hate to repeat myself, I welcome the new board members joining us tonight. It'll be a great 3 years ahead with you guys on the board. You come with varying backgrounds, and that always helps to balance out any group. Kudos to our grads. I could not be here, but I did watch it, this live streaming. That was so great to be able to do that. We do so much with technology anymore, and I just love being able to watch it. And where we hold it now, it's just so much more beautiful. So kudos to all those graduates. I just want to thank Superintendent Reinhardt, all the things that you've maintained in our buildings, with your staff and everything, keeping those RTI teachers, even though we're only going to have 3 buildings, and the social workers that have been expanded, and the psychologists. It's just all that extra support our kids need, not only for COVID, but they needed it before COVID. So I'm so glad that through everything that's done by Central Admin, we were able to maintain those positions. Congrats to anybody that's on our agenda that is possibly a new hire or putting in for retirement. Good luck to any of you that are leaving us. Don't know why you're leaving us, but good luck to wherever you're going. Also on the agenda, I want to thank Staples and Walmart for the donations that they're giving. And to Mount Marion, I want to thank everyone there. You know, to get that entire building emptied out and people moved to where they were moving to, and the custodial staff, everyone there. I know it was really hard. A lot of people felt like they were leaving a home, and I understand that after working in a number of schools. But I thank everybody for their professionalism and their dedication and the hard work into this next phase that we'll be moving into this year. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
I just real quick want to thank all the voters for choosing me as one of your Board of Education trustees, and I look forward to representing you and being a voice for the children of Saugerties. Thank you.
Mr. McCleary?
So, I kind of want to add on to the Ms. Barringer said about the graduates. I think the valedictorian speech this year summed it up. Said she was just lucky to be the one there giving the speech, and I think that the way she embodied the whole group there was kind of a really strong message, and I'd love to follow that through. The graduation, again, it's such an event now that, you know, used to be a little bit of a frying pan out front, and, you know, it took some new thinking, some new administration, and, you know, there's a point that 90% was a aggressive thought, so I don't think 95% is too far off the way things are going. And just like to thank everybody that made that happen. It's truly been a pleasure to go to graduation. I didn't sit on the stage this year because I was in a little bit of pain, but I was happy to be there in the shade, cheering on the other board members that were baking. But it's a great event, and like there's so many positive things I've seen. Been here through a couple of administrations, and by far the current is really making some positive change, and it's a pleasure to watch happen.
Well, I think we covered all the board members, so we'll move into board president's remarks. I've been elected a few times as board president, and it always feels like the scene in the cartoons where you see they call for a volunteer and everybody steps back and there's one person forward. But I thank the board for their support, even though some of it's qualified. I want to congratulate the staff of Saugerties, the Saugerties School District, Mr. Reinhardt, his administrative cabinet, the teachers, the TAs, the custodians, everybody who worked hard to get that graduation rate up to 90.9%. When I first came on the board, the graduation rate hovered around 78%. And we talked about in Mr. Reinhardt's presentation about mental health services. To me, one of the best things of a student's mental health is the ability to be successful, to succeed. There's quite a difference between 78% and 90.9%, and I applaud Mr. Reinhardt for stating a goal of 95%. If a student can be successful, starting out in the preschool level, the elementary school level, and feel cared for, feel secure, feel they're capable of being successful, that goes a lot to mental health. I've done, in my previous life, I was a school psychologist, and I've done a lot of research into academic success and student self-concept. One of the big things that students who are not successful lack is hope. Hope is a construct that can be taught. And if you give a child hope that they can be successful, that they can believe in themselves, they'll do well. So I think we're well on the road to doing that with 90.9% of our students. I would also like to see us do some follow-up research on our graduates in relation to Ms. Bellaros and your concern about the cohorts. You know, what do those students look like after they graduate? You know, 4 or 5 years from now, how are they being successful? And there are surveys and programs we can take a look at that. I think that would help give us more feedback to see what we need to incorporate into our educational programs to see if there's anything else that we can do. I also want to echo Mr. Mooney's thanking Mr. Siracusano and his staff for a tremendous outpouring to the community. I saw Mr. Mooney at the car show. We were joking about having a Board of Education category for cars. Everybody has a car that can all be in that. Mr. Reinhardt has quite the motorcycle. There's a motorcycle shown there. So, you know, it's good to support the activities that help our kids. Those families who receive those donations are also going to have their mental health hopefully increased a little bit by knowing that there's loving and support in the community for them. I welcome the new board members. I hope you find this everything that you've hoped it would be, and it's a successful time for you on the board. And I will leave it at that. Do the board members want to take a break, or do you want to move through the agenda until we get to exec session? Keep moving? Okay. On item H, I will make a motion or request a motion to amend the agenda to move item B into executive session for discussion. Moved by Ms. Gage, second by Ms. Valorosa.
What was that, which one?
Item B, item HB.
Thank you.
So we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item H, I want to take a motion for A, C, D, E, F, G. Motion by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Valorosa. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
I just would like to wish Mr. Dykeman well. When I first came to the board 8 years ago, he's always been a friendly face. He's always made you feel very comfortable, and I just wish him luck. Thank you for your service to the kids and the families of Saugerties, Mr. Dykeman.
Any other discussion, Mr. Walters?
Just curious, and this is something that could be answered at a different time, with the exception of resignations for purposes of retirement or other known reasons to the district that someone may leave. Do we conduct exit interviews with people that have actively chosen to leave the district to try to understand what precipitated that decision?
Yes, we do.
What do we do with that data and information? How do we utilize it?
So I maintain it, and then we have conversations at the administration level, what needs to be adjusted, how can we always improve.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Entertain a motion for items 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. So moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Paulson. Any discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion for item I-1, A, B, C, and then 2, A, B, C. So moved by Mr. Mooney. Second by Mrs. Gage. Discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 3, appointments. I'll entertain a motion for 3A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McClary. Discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
J, business office recommendations. I'll entertain a motion for J 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, moved by Mr. Mooney. I'm sorry, let me include 6, 7, and 8 with that also.
So
Moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Gage. Discussion?
this is the first meeting that I'm attending and needing to receive these reports. And for the benefit of myself and some of the other newer trustees, would Ms. St. Amor be able to kind of give an explanation of what the treasurer's report is, the appropriations report, and the claims auditor's report are, and the information that's on there, and the importance of that information?
Sure. Jean, you want to answer that?
Yeah. If anyone starts falling asleep, I'm done. Okay, the first one is the treasurer's report, which is a requirement by commissioner's regulation. And the treasurer's report contains the monthly balances of our bank accounts. So we have 2 checking accounts and 2 money market accounts, and currently we have a $5 million CD, or current. This is current as of May 31st. And so on this is all of the receipts and the disbursements for each of those accounts throughout the month. And then the bottom portion is the reconciliation with the bank statement. So our treasurer performs reconciliation of all the bank accounts, and I review. And then the revenue status report, again, is a requirement for monthly, and again, this is through May 31st. And it has all of our revenue accounts. So the first column there is the budget, so that's the original budget. And then adjustments, which is any increases to the budget, usually on the revenue side. And then revised budget, the next column is actual revenue earned, and the last column is the difference between the revised and the actual. And the account codes, all of the account codes are prescribed by the comptroller's office in a uniform system of account codes. So they pretty much tell us which codes to use for which categories. So we follow that, and everything on these reports gets sent to the state at the end of August. So we kind of like to follow the codes so everything matches up. So on the revenue report, the ones that start with 1 are kind of local funds. The ones that start with 2 can be from other agencies. The ones that start with 3 are state revenues, and the ones that start with 4 are federal revenues. And the next report is on the appropriation status, which is the budget, the expense side of the budget. So again, the codes are given to us by the comptroller's office. We have a little leeway on some of the codes, but I try to make the descriptions as obvious as possible. So if you don't know what the codes are, the description should usually help you along. So first column is the original budget. The next column is the adjustments, and there's a couple different things included in that. There's increases to the budget that have been voted on by the board throughout the year, and budget transfers are also included in that column. Then you have the adjusted budget, and then the next says expensed. So those are actual expenses as of the date, May 31st. The next column is encumbered amounts, which are purchase orders or contractual salary that's obligated for the year. And the last column is the available. So it's the difference between the adjusted budget, the expenses, and the encumbrances, and that'll give you the available in the end. So again, the coding kind of works. Whereas the first letter there is the name of the fund, which this is the general fund, and the next 4 digits is the function code, which kind of describes the category. So that 1010 is Board of Education. And then the next 3 digits are what's called an object code. So anything that starts with a 1-5 is going to be instructional salary. And instructional salary is for any position that is in the teacher's retirement system. If it's a 1-6, that's a non-instructional salary, so that's everyone that is a civil service position or in ERS, the Employees Retirement System. They like to keep track of those separately. 400 code is contractual or service. 450 is for materials and supplies. 200 is equipment. And there's a couple like variations within those. There's also, let 471 and 72 are tuition, 480 is textbook, 490 is BOCES, and then 600 is principal payments, 700 is interest payments, 800 is benefits, and 900 is like interfund transfers. So there's a reason for everything. And the next 2 digits, on the first few pages, it's all zeros, so that's just district-wide categories. And then after that, you'll see that there's numbers in there. So each instructional building has a building code, and then we also have a building code for our private schools. And then the last 2 digits is a program code. So we don't have it all separated out by program, but I do have a few program codes in there just to keep certain items separate for the various reports that we have to do for the state. But the more budget codes you have, the more transfers you're going to have within those codes. So I try to keep it to just the amount we actually need and not any extras. That's, let me see, last one, claims audit report. So that is done by our claims auditor, and she is not our employee. She's an outside vendor that we hired to come in each week to review all of the accounts payable checks that are issued and payroll items. So on the report, it just has says fund. So it's basically our 2 checking accounts are our multi-fund, which included all of our funds except for the capital. So it's our general fund, our federal fund, which is where our grants are held, our school lunch, and then we have scholarships also included in there. And so our payroll goes through that multi-fund. Let's see, warrant number is just like a system generated number. Date of warrant is the date of the checks. The number of claims
a wonderful little article here about understanding auditor roles. So just wanted to, just very coincidentally, talked about, which sometimes this happens, we start asking questions, you come in and you go, well, were they reading our minds? Did they know that we were looking for this kind of information? So there is some information about understanding your auditors. And again, I want to thank the business office and look forward to the audit committee this year. So I know we're going to get into committees, but I'm looking forward to all those who want to join us in talking about money. Yeah.
Can I just ask other board members, if I remember in our first year training, one day was a lot on budget and this type of information, right? Yeah, so when you go to your new board training, you'll learn a lot about the budget and that stuff. Very helpful.
Thank you, Jane.
Any other discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Board action discussions items. I'll entertain a motion for item 1, the CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations. Moved by Mrs. Gage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mooney. Discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion for item 2, contract with Thomas Rohan, Waxman, Pettigrew, and Maley.
So
Moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Scott. Discussion?
A quick question, and this is just coming up now only because we went for an RFP on this a while ago, yes? Did we do an RFP for the attorneys? There was a discussion at one time, and I'm losing my mind over when we did that the last. Was there?
The RFP, I believe, was 2 years ago.
Was it 2? Okay, thank you.
Jane and I both had the same.
Yeah, we've been here 3 years.
It was before COVID. This is one of those before BC or yeah. So not that this is not for this year. I'm not, but I'm thinking that this might be one of those items that we need to do an RFP in the near future. It's not a critique on our attorneys at all. It's just good practice.
Any other discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion for items 3, 4. I know there's some questions about 5, so I'll just go with 3 and 4 for right now. So moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McClary. Discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Item 5, summer curriculum resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Gage.
Second.
Discussion?
I had questions that were answered satisfactorily.
Okay. Any other discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 6, District Code of Conduct Resolution. I'll call for a motion. Motion by Mr. Mooney. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Belrosa. Discussion? Sure.
So on that note, I think it was second to the last policy committee meeting a couple years ago, we redid the attendance. We had a great attendance committee during COVID. We had great attendance for that. So one of the parting requests of Dr. Haas was that we do the same thing with our code of conduct. There's been a lot of, we can keep getting your board administration, there's been a lot of talk about dress codes and everything. So we're hoping to do the same thing with the code of conduct and really get in and delve into the verbiage and, you know, is it biased, is it gender neutral, stuff like that. So we're hoping that when the school year gets going, we can get some students on that and kind of put together a nice K-12 committee to actually look at that going forward. Because I thought the attendance one was great. It was great to have the students on there and hear their concerns and the teachers and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Any other discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
L, board discussion items, district safety plan, and this is just a discussion, Mr. Reinhardt?
Yeah, the district safety plan needs to be on the website for public comment for 30 days prior to vote, and it has to be voted on prior to September 1st. So it's always on the July 1.
Any other comments on this item?
I had asked a question tonight, I just want to try to clarify relative to the SRO contract. because that's supposed to be part of the school safety plan. And I know in 2019, the enacted state budget required that there be some specific changes to those contracts. And specifically how those contracts are developed, also making sure that they include, like a code of conduct, they include stakeholders from the community, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So while I recognize that our SRO contract is one that just keeps getting re-upped, the fact is that there were some pretty significant expectations that the state put in place as part of the enacted budget to make sure that those contracts were being looked at with a great deal of specific attention towards, it was going to come, Jim. Specific attention towards things like the conversations we're having in our nation about equity, the conversation we're having in our nation about how police officers are used in schools, the influence that police officers in schools have. And I understand, as I say this, all right, that there's a groundswell of support, because I've heard it before in meetings, for our SRO and how our SRO is used in this district. Be that as it may, you know, what the expectation of the state was is something that's pretty clear. So I just wanted to make that comment before our vote, and hope that going forward, because I know that this does not have to be to the state until school safety plan until what, October 1?
The safety plan itself is uploaded to the URL by October 1st.
Okay. So my hope is, and I realize that we're talking about a window that includes summer and then the start of school, but that we're able to come into, you know, in line with the expectations that the state provided to us.
And if I can add, I believe, fellow board members, you can attest with me, during 2019, when this happened, we had extensive discussions regarding the SRO. We had extensive discussions regarding what was in their contract. So if the contract is not part of the safety plan, and it should be, we should probably put that in, because we did talk about what would their role be, what would their, and it wasn't just our board, there was meetings with the law enforcement as well as other community members during that time. So it is something that we did take very seriously. I want to highlight that. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it did occur, and we agreed exactly with what you're saying. We wanted to make sure we were doing our due diligence when it came up. So we should definitely get a copy of the SRO agreement to look at it if it's not already on the in the larger plan. Yeah, I know some things, and one of the things that happened with the safety plan, and we had concerted dialogue about this in the past regarding some things don't get put into the plan specifically because of safety. And that occurred, a very interesting dialogue. That occurred, we had that discussion after one of the school shootings and the issues that were occurring here, and we were having community meetings, and at that time our administration was very clear about, we have a plan, we have a solid plan, but some things are not put on the public domain specifically to keep the safety of our children in the forefront. So I just wanted to highlight that as well.
I appreciate that. I'll try and be even more succinct. We have a contract that was signed in 2017 with a direction from the state that the contract was to be updated in 2019.
So your concern is just that it be updated, or do you have specific concerns about what the...
That the directive that the state provided, right? I mean, I can read you the language, I don't want to do that.
No, I was just asking if you have specific concerns about what our school resource officer is doing or what the contract language says.
I have specific concern that the contract was not updated as per state guidance.
Okay.
And if I had any additional concerns beyond that, certainly would be willing to share them when that committee or stakeholder group is formed.
Okay.
How does one make a public comment on this?
So if you go on our website under the announcements, it has public comment available. You can either email Mr. Reinhardt, send a letter to him by August 10th.
And as board members, you'll be invited to the safety committee to be part of that, and you'll hear some of the inner workings, and as well as a contract for the SRO and input from other community leaders such as Chief Sinagra.
But those committees happen twice a year, right?
One in October, one in March.
So the one in October is presumably going to be after this
Mhm.
plan's adopted, right?
Yeah, so we meet in October with anything new that's come out. We meet again in March over how things have happened throughout the year. And then in June, I send out one more email to the committee saying, this is the document I'm sending to the board. Is there anything we missed, anything you want to add? And if we have to, we reconvene again.
Any other discussion on this item? None being heard, we'll move to committee reports and other matters. Since this is our first meeting, we have some changes. Ms. Barringer is going to be the chair of the audit committee, so
Looking forward to it. We'll get together, make a plan. Do we have members yet? Do we know who else is going to be?
well, we don't know about the new board members, so I don't want to speak for them, but if you will email me which committees you would like to be on, and you're also welcome to audit the other committees to attend them, as long as we don't have a quorum of board members on them.
I mean, I would like to be on the audit committee if possible.
Okay. Facilities, Mr. Mooney?
Sure. Well, Mr. Reinhardt pretty much, brought everybody up to speed in his State of the Year address as far as the contracts that were signed and the roofing that's going to take place and the resurfacing of the track. So that we're hoping that when we send our jobs back out to bid, we can get a lower price. We see now, over the last 23 days, I believe, the price of gas has been coming down. So we're hoping that other costs are coming down. You see the housing market has also changed, so it's gone from a seller's market to a buyer's market. So hopefully that also means that resources will be more available, and that will drive the prices down, which would definitely help us. I do implore anybody who wishes to join the facilities committee to please join. It's always great to have another set of eyes, as Trustee Barringer had mentioned earlier in her board member remarks. And our next meeting is August 3rd, and it is at 4:30 here in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mooney. Policy Committee, Ms. McClary?
I really have nothing to report at this point. I think Dr. Haas left us in pretty good hands as far as moving forward. We'll have to honor her request. And I know, Sue, you plan on continuing
I do.
the policy? Great. So I think we got a really good, the way we're going through the pre-revosies, it's pretty succinct, and getting our readings out in time. So I plan on talking to everyone and just see what the best time for meeting. I spoke with Mr. Reinhardt earlier. If we do a meeting prior to the board, we can actually get a first reading in. So that's something that I just we'll poll everybody, see what the best days are for those that want to meet, and we'll pick a day and try to stay consistent with it.
All right, and then for the next board meeting, if we could have dates for audit and policy, and announce that to the public, and get it out there. Great. Public recognition, any member of the public wishing to speak? Okay, then. We will entertain a motion to recess into executive session. Moved by Mr. Olson, is there a second? Second by Ms. Bellarosa. Any discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. We're going to go into executive session. We will come out after our executive session discussion. We will anticipate on table the one personal item and vote to adjourn the meeting. So thank you for coming out today.
Scott, let us know when you're ready.
Ron?
Yep.
I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So
Moved by Mr. Mooney, is there a second? Ms. Bellarosa? Any discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will entertain a motion to untable item HB, H1B.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Gage, is there a second? Second by Ms. Bellarosa. Any discussion on the untabling of this item? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will now entertain a motion to vote on item H1B. Motion. Motion by Mr. Mooney, is there a second? Second by Mr. Wall. Any discussion? None being heard, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Gage. Second by Mr. McClary. Any discussion? None being heard, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations to new board members, you survived your first meeting.
Yeah.